Fuck it, it's Tuesday. Woo! I already rocked out too hard from my guitar strap, but that's the way it goes on Tuesday evenings. All right, try that again. When I was a kid, if you were a rich man, you had stacks of paper tall and green. But now my whole life savings, just a bunch of numbers on a screen. So without forethought or regret, I build a mountain of debt and plant my flag without much fear. No money actually changed hands, so like a castle in sand will eventually disappear. Cause it's all imaginary, it's all imaginary, it's all imaginary. It's all imaginary. Now on that same computer, I have a list of friends stretching to see the sky. People like my Aunt Philip Cummins, Maid of Honor, fire services from junior high. And with one click request send, I can be the best of friends with some guy who used to fuck my wife. Post trending memes up on the spot, but now don't worry at all, cause we'll never meet in real life. Cause it's all imaginary, 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 it's all imaginary. Black out, I'm broken, friendless. Now who and what will get me through this night? Seconds all seem endless. I only believe what I can see by candlelight. 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 I only believe what I can see by candlelight. On C-SPAN Theater, some old rich white men are acting like it's not their fault that black kids stay poor. An Onion article scripted like a TV movie slipped underneath the speaker's door. And well-researched think tanks tell us campaign finance is more punch this problem in the face. And that would make a lot of sense if all this money and these men were even real in the first place. But it's all imaginary, 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 it's all imaginary. I only believe what I can see by candlelight. Only believe what I can see by candlelight. Only believe what I can see by candlelight. Thank you and happy Tuesday to everybody out in Chris Q Murphy land. It is so good to see all you guys there. Cheers. It is Tuesday evening. This is the Tuesday night live stream with Chris Q Murphy. We have been going for months and months and months now with very few interruptions. We've had fantastic guests for months and months and months now with very few interruptions. I want to thank everybody who tuned into my solo show to start off the new year. It felt cleansing and exciting to just kind of get back to how this thing started with just me and my guitar performing for y'all. And it was great to do that. I'm even more excited, though, to get back on to guests tonight. For the last show of the year, we had this cavalcade of stars. We had 11 different guests come on and play one or two songs each and hang out and talk. And it felt magical and wonderful. And I couldn't go to sleep when I got home because I was so fucking excited by the vibe that we had a chance to create together. When it's so hard to make community in person, it's been really nice to be able to do it this way every week with the people that tune in every week, with the people that tune in from time to time, and with the friends that come on and the new friends that come on in order to share their wares. That song right there is cynical and heavy as fuck, and that's okay because that's kind of how I'm feeling right now. But you know what? That's not the only way I'm feeling right now. As a matter of fact, there's another song that I have, and I only get to play it for this brief window of time, although it's not on that album. I get to play for this little chunk of time every year from the beginning of December to the end of January, and then it kind of expires. So I got to play it as many times as I can in that little chunk. to get it out of my system and hopefully into your system, and then put it aside until the following December. Before I play it, I do want to say that I have a new single dropping on the 22nd of January. It'll be streaming on all the platforms where you listen to music. Most notably, it will be available on Bandcamp, which is the best place to buy music from independent artists, or really any artists that are on there. There's a new video coming out that day as well. Very excited about that. New video and new single coming out on January 22nd. The song's called No Sand, and Dear Mr. Tree is the B-side. But I'm not going to play either one of those songs right now. I'm going to play a song called Resolved, and it goes something like this. Chance when you hear this, you have a drink or two in your hand. 'Cause I know this hot day to put the past away. I know it's kind of been this year's trend. So while you, I'm sure you'll be 2 sizes down, so you can wear that dress to next year's big toast. That gym will seem expensive, and that food will taste so good if it's not the thing that you want the most. Well, last New Year, we tried it in the first gear. It still stalled out before the starting gun. So now you try this new thing and set your sights big. Try to capture both the moon and the sun. While you promise yourself that you would tackle the world, praise Hosanna to those heavenly hosts. You won't even bother looking out your window at night if it's not the thing that you want the most. I know you've got this laundry list of little things you'd like to fix, 'cause I've got one too. But aren't you tired of all those superficial, silly little resolutions? Never ever seem to come true. It's 'cause the things you choose, they don't matter much to you. Sometimes I think this guitar will make me a big star. So I play days a week and weeknights too. And while it's a big gas, it comes off half-assed, 'cause these bright lights can't hold a candle to you. So while I promised myself that I would tackle the world, so next year I could sure bend and boast, I could only muster up well wishes and a bucket of cheer, 'cause that's the thing I want for you to have most. So now I'll just shut up and wish you all the happiest of years, 'cause that's the thing I know that you want the most. Thank you so much to everybody. Thank you. It's so good to play that song because, like I said, I don't get to play it all that often. Just a couple times a year because, I don't know. I have another friend that has a New Year's song, and she plays it all year long. And it sounds all great and good, but this one feels entirely momentary. It feels like it only works for those couple of minutes right there. And so I'm happy to have some of those minutes with you here with me tonight. It's so good to see you. And it is so good to bring guests on with me. That has been the greatest thing about this show for the last several months. I could sit here and perform my songs till the cows come home, and that's satisfying in one way. But more importantly, I get to share this time with old and new friends from the songwriting community to talk about what it's like to write songs, what it's like to be an artist in a different climate than other years of creating art. It's been really magical for me. I've learned so much about myself as well as the people that have come on the show. And tonight's guest, I'm sure, is going to be super revelatory. I have always been intimidated by tonight's guest. I'm not sure why, because she's not like an overbearing person. She's not the kind of person that walks into a room and makes you fearful in any way. As a matter of fact, she's incredibly graceful and welcoming. But there's something about the way she carries herself, as if she might have a better understanding of the world than the rest of us. And as a result, whenever I'm around her, I'm like, does she know something that I don't know? Am I supposed to know this shit before I can interact with her more? And it's funny because that same sort of like, it's kind of magical in a way. There's like a magical energy to it. Almost a mysterious vibe also comes across in her music, whether she's performing solo with an acoustic or an guitar, or if you're listening to her more fleshed out tracks on the releases that she's putting out, especially the ones she's been putting out for the last year and change, especially her new single, Cameron. That same magical, like otherworldly, but firmly planted on earth vibe, it just comes at you. And I'm so excited to share that vibe with you tonight. And maybe after hanging out in my online space for a little while, I won't feel quite so intimidated anymore. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'd like to bring on Tatyana Kalko. Welcome, Tatyana, to the show. How you doing?
Hello. Can you hear me all right?
I sure can.
Wow. Chris, I'm cracking up at your introduction. Thank you for your candor. It's just like no one's ever introduced me like that.
I only have honesty, so that's
great.
Where I'm at.
I love honesty.
And that scares a lot of fucking people.
I think it does. I think we see that playing out a lot. That's true.
So how's things? How's music life?
Music life is fun.
Fun? Okay.
Can you hear my heater? It's just so loud sometimes, but it's okay.
TBH?
Yeah.
I broadcast live from a coffee shop after hours.
Yeah. Look at that.
And there's like ice machines and refrigerators and all sorts of shit going at all times. So you don't even sweat. Sounds like your heater in the background. As a matter of fact, if you have a little steam hammer, maybe it'll bring a little percussion to the table for tonight.
That could be nice. That could be very nice.
So
we're all playing by ourselves.
But you managed to get some other musicians on your new single, right?
I did.
Was that done totally virtually or remotely?
Partly. So yeah, I had Max Mulready, who had played with me live a couple times on keyboard, and I asked him to send me over something, and he did me a gracious favor of adding a couple other instruments I wasn't even asking for, which is because he just got into it, I guess.
Yeah.
So he added bass and organ. So he was really like the crux of this song, Cameron. And then I had a cajon player that I play with sometimes with the Shul of New York. He came over once I got back to New York after quarantining, and he laid that down. And then I had Ernesto Villalobos, that was Luis Sosa, and then Ernesto Villalobos on violin. He just sent over. So it's so easy now to do all this stuff remotely. I'm like, why do I even need to get in a studio, right? I mean, I think there's still something to be said about collaborating with incredible ears, right? And people that can really set you up and being in a space that is conducive to creating music that's not your room necessarily, right? And just having those acoustics as well of incredible mics and, amplification.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of this stuff can also be done just really cheaply and with support.
Yeah, I'm of like two minds about some of that stuff because, the last 3 full lengths that I've put out, I recorded in my car, in my garage, and in a friend's apartment, all just into an iPhone. Like that is the sound that's on the album. Like I tweaked the EQ a little bit. But I'm very pleased with the way those albums sound. I feel like they speak to a certain like part of my aesthetic. But for the single that I just recorded, for the first time in fucking years, I went to a proper studio. Like
Where'd you go?
I went to Newtown Recorders up in East Williamsburg, Bushwick. And it was magical for me to step into an actual studio space and, sing into a microphone that's probably worth more than a month's rent and to hear the difference. I feel the amount of detail that was able to come out of that recording is astounding to me. And honestly, a little bit scary. There's part of me that wishes I didn't click on the submit button to actually release this thing because it feels very exposed and vulnerable. And I feel like the only way I could have gotten that was to step into a space that wasn't my own to find that sort of emotional vulnerability. And 2, like you said before, deal with that great acoustic and that great fucking like gear they have and people that know how to use it. Like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm excited
to hear. Big deal.
It is.
Yeah, I think we can get so used to. There's that phrase but when we're listening to the demos and I forget what it is, but a lot of mixers talk about it. It's like, yeah, demoitis. Sure, you fall in love with your demo because it's like so homegrown and you've done it. But then you want other people to appreciate it just as much. So sometimes you need those bells and whistles.
Yeah, it's a weird balance. So when you wrote Cameron, which is the new single, was I'll be curious either now or later to hear what that might have sounded like with just you and the guitar, because in person, that's the only way I've ever seen you perform in person. I've heard your stuff on the computer, like fleshed out, but the Tatyana Kalko that I know is there with the guitar. So I'd be curious to hear what that song sounds like just with the guitar. I'm not forcing you to open with that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
it's part of my brain.
Well, that was when I first recorded. It was just me and guitar, and it felt empty. It was like, no, this needs more. But some songs that I have, I think, are just work perfectly well, really sparse.
Word. Well, speaking of songs, would you be willing to play us one right here and now?
Totally. So I want to play one.
Let me get out of your way first. Let me get off the screen and give you the space. Ladies and gentlemen, Tuesday night live stream listeners, here we are with Tatyana Kalko, and she's going to play something totally awesome for us. Actually, she's going to play us 2 songs, and then I'll come back. Yeah, you're going to play 2 songs. The stage is yours, as they say. Enjoy.
All right.
Well, that's the wrong person. Hold on.
Still you.
I pressed the wrong button. That's the one. There you go. Tatyana Kalko, ladies and gentlemen.
Let me escape. All right, I'm gonna do a song from the EP that I have out called Yellow and Blue, and the song is called "Okay, I Give Up." Love, you screwed me up again. I chased your tail into a dead end. I thought you were a barrel of luck, not an uninvited house guest on drugs. You're throwing shots from Bunker Hill and you want mercy still. Okay, I give up. Just let me live already until the day I marry you. Mother says to walk away, focus on yourself. If love is real and here to stay, it's not going anywhere. Perhaps it's wrong to tell you off. Good manners say I shouldn't scoff at love. You probably know a lot more than I. What natural laws do I dare defy? Oh, at first we were holding hands and now we're wrestling. Okay, I give up. Just let me live already until the day I leave. Mother says to walk away, focus on myself. If love is real and here to stay, it's not going anywhere. Draw weapons at the count. I'm playing with the big guns, and we're all shooting blanks. Okay, I give up. Just let me live already until the day I marry you. Okay, I give up. Just let me live already until the day. All I want's to marry you. All right, I'm sorry if I cut out a little. Did I cut out, Chris?
I think a little bit, but it always came back around. That's cool. If I get a note from somebody that they lost some of that song, we'll just make you play it again later. Just do your thing. It sounds fucking great. Thank you so much.
I'm so happy to do this. This is kind of like an open mic vibe right now. I think because you're here and feels like, you know, we're just playing around. So this is a song I haven't released yet, but I'm planning on recording it this year. It's called How Long. I can never really speak for my songs. I feel like they just kind of speak for themselves, and there's not a huge story around this either. But just a collection of thoughts and insights. Although I do mention the Smiths, I am a huge Smiths fan, so I mentioned that in the song. Listened to the verve, we were sorely unimpressed, like the bride who emerges in a knockoff designer dress. I don't know what it means yet, we can figure it out together. I'm just wondering what I'd look like wrapped in your favorite sweater. I don't play games anymore. If someone tells you that, run for the door. Old flames come to mind. How long will the candle burn this time? Will we defeat the odds? What a dumb, wasted question. Let's have an arm wrestling match so we can finally break the tension. You told me to be patient. It was written in the stars. You would teach me how to love. straight from my core. I've left the old me behind. How long will this light of mine shine? How we listened to the verb, we were sorely unimpressed. The Smiths are so much better, but they can make you quite depressed. When I was younger, tried to make my father proud, thought his love held the answer to erasing all my self-doubt. I don't think that anymore. He's just a man, tattered and torn. This great big heart of mine, how long will it suffer and pine? How
Woo! Tatyana Kalko, ladies and gentlemen. That's awesome. I love that song. I can't wait to hear that all recorded and fancied up.
I know. So that's kind of one that I feel would be fine just as is, maybe with something slight underneath it. I don't know. What do you hear?
I think you should talk to that cajon player again. I think it's got that nice little kind of 6/8 shuffle, and I feel like hearing some of the subdivisions on the top part of the cajon, like the snare part of the cajon, might make it sound a little kind of like bouncy, and it might bring out. There's a couple lines that are kind of humorous in there. Like one that really jumped out at me was "Let's have an arm wrestling match so we can break the tension." I love that line. It's so good. I feel like there'd be a little bit of a bounce. What?
Yeah, totally. I hear you. Right. I was just like, don't you feel like that sometimes? You just want to break that.
You know what? I have actually never done this in the middle of one of these shows yet, but you name checked the Smiths in that song, which is a band that I do not know nearly enough about. Like, I don't know as much. Like, I'm not saying I dislike it, but like there's like a list of a couple of bands that like once a year I'll sit down for a week and be like, this is the year I'm gonna like get it. It happens with Lucinda Williams. It happens with the Smiths. Those are really the two big ones. It used to happen with Depeche Mode, but 2 years ago it just clicked for some reason and I got it. I still haven't got the Smiths yet, but I know another song, not one of mine, that name checks the Smiths.
Yeah?
Yeah. Can I play a little bit of it for you?
Of course.
It's by a pop punk emo band out of Long Island called Brand New. And they put out a bunch of records. And this is on their first album, which is called Your Favorite Weapon. Came out in 2000 or 2001. And it's a song called Mixtape. I'm not going to do it as punky as they do it, but it is a slower number. It goes like this. You got a $20 bill. It says no one's ever seen you without makeup. You're always made up. And you're sick of my tattoos and the way you always criticize the Smiths and Morrissey. And I know that you're a sucker for anything acoustic. When I say let's keep in touch, I hope you know I mean I wish that you'd grow up. This is the first song on your mixtape. and it's sure just like your temper, somewhat golden like the afternoon we used to spend before we got too cool. And then it repeats again, but anyway.
That's awesome. I think I heard either you play that before. Have you played that before out? Or I've definitely heard this song somewhere.
You might have just heard that song. I feel like
Yeah.
it's probably made its way into an indie movie soundtrack at some point.
That's a cool song.
I've only played it live one time because they're like in the world of like songwritery people and people that like songwriters, I find that there's like a dearth of people that like pop punk bands. So there was one person, a good friend of mine named Kieran, and he would come to a bunch of my shows a couple of years ago, and we both loved Brand New and that song. So I always said, listen, the next time you're in New York and you come to one of my shows, I promise I'll play Mixtape for you. And he just rolled up at a gig after not having seen him for like months. I was in no way prepared to play that song, but I guess I'd listened to it like just enough times that I was able to like cobble together a version of it. So anyway, it's a great song. You should check it out. It's their first album. And there's another song called Jude Law and the Semester Abroad, which is like one of the greatest vocal arrangements ever. Yeah, so cool.
Sounds
brand new.
They really know their pop culture references.
They do. They really do. Nice.
You know, I've had those kind of phases with different artists where I'm like, I'm gonna learn this artist, right? With David Bowie, like especially after he died for some reason. I wasn't really clued into him before, but yeah, that was a big one.
Nice.
I know. I think we just passed like 5 years of his passing.
Oh, we did. And he's one of those people that just put out so much music for so long that unless you're like a super fan, like how are you gonna fucking know it all?
Yeah.
Like I can say I'm really conversant in like one chunk of Bowie's career, and then I don't know shit about anything else he did because there's just so much. Who are some other people that like you've tried to get into, but you've never been able to latch on to?
Okay, so you said Lucinda Williams, like that whole category. For some reason, it's just not something I grew up with listening, like Americana and that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit of a foreign language in terms of, you know, when something really penetrates your heart because you have molecules that know it already somehow. And But of course, like I feel like music it's kind of a learned language. Whichever artist you pick, it's a bit of a language getting into their world. But that's always been, and like straight up folk music has always been difficult for me to get into.
Oh, okay. But because did you say its molecules are already a part of you? Was that the line? I like that because I feel it. Like
like if you grew up listening, or I don't know, if there's some sentimental connection that might.
Yeah, that's wild. That's how I feel about like Carole King. Like I feel like Carole King's music is just, it's like part of me. I can't explain. Well, I couldn't explain it until now. What?
When did you listen to her? Like what period of your life?
All of the periods. She was, I think I'm a little older than you. So she was kind of ever present on my mom's radio stations when I was a kid because she had hits that she had in the early to mid 70s that were still getting like significant airplay on adult contemporary radio well into the 1980s. You know, like especially like the big singles off of Tapestry, which is, you know, like the album that came out in 71. Like I remember being a kid in the early 80s and like It's Too Late and So Far Away were just like on the radio. Like even though those songs were more than 10 years old, they were just like there's that Wayne's World scene where where Wayne says, Frampton Comes Alive. This album was issued to you if you lived in the suburbs. I feel like there's people of a certain age, especially like white suburban folks of a certain age, that just Carole King is just in you. It's inescapable. I'm proud of it. I drive by her childhood home all the time. It's not far from my house, so I like to just drive by it and be, like I commune with it a little bit. Oh, I think we got a little bit of lag.
Where are you?
Oh no, I think you're a little glitchy, as my kids say at school in online meetings. We got some lag. Adam, you had Friend Comes Alive?
Lag.
Yeah, or the kids on online meetings with my students, they say, yo, Murphy, you're glitchy. Yo, Murphy, why you look so... Oh, Tatyana disappeared. Oh, she's coming back.
Yeah.
She's coming. There we go.
Hey, Adam. I know. It's just going to happen tonight.
That's totally fine. This is the least formal environment. My fancy sweater has holes in it.
Everything. Oh, that's cool. That's how you know it's your favorite.
No, it totally is. It's my Kurt Cobain Nirvana Unplugged cardigan. So what did you kind of grow up listening to? Without getting into the who are your influences thing, what is in what molecules are in you, musically speaking?
I love that. I thought of it. So a lot of Beatles, right? A lot of classic.
Okay.
There were these compilation albums.
Mm-hmm.
He was, Beatles, Styx, and Foreigner. I really like those. Ooh. They're like very straightforward kind of rock songs, right? With a story, with a very strong melody line.
Oh yeah.
A lot of harmonies.
My high school choir director.
After that. Go ahead.
I would say my high school choir director's favorite song was "Babe" by Styx. So we always sang an arrangement of it. And I'll tell you what, that song still fucking kills with 8th graders in Brooklyn well, not 2020, but when I sing it for the last couple of years in school, when I bust that one out and I'm like, hey kids, let's learn this song and sing it. They're like, yo, what song is that? And I'm like, that shit came out way before your parents were born.
Wait, can you sing just what's the opening line of it? Because you know what, the one I'm thinking of when you said that, and this one is by, I think this is 4 or 6. Lady.
That's Styx as well. That's
Styx as well, yeah.
Lady of the morning. All right, I'm gonna stop with the Styx.
That was good stuff. And then I moved on to some more current stuff. I mean, I had a huge Backstreet Boys phase. Like, who didn't, right?
Wait a minute. Wait. You were Backstreet Boys, not NSYNC? What the fuck?
Yeah. They're the original. I really disliked. I think the PR really worked because I disliked NSYNC. I thought it was one or the other. It was very polarizing. It was very polarizing.
That was actually the beginning of my teaching career, right at the height of their battle. Yeah, so my 90s, middle school
early aughts.
Yeah, my middle school students had very, very strong opinions about which one was good and which one was not. I picked NSYNC. That was I stand by them. No, wait, Justin Timberlake. Justin fucking
good songs,
Timberlake.
Though. Really good songs. I know. See, I think with Backstreet Boys there were more solid singers overall.
Okay.
But NSYNC had the it factor with T. They had some incredible songs. I don't know. I can't judge dance moves.
Yeah, I mean, I will give it to you. There were more solid lead singers in the Backstreet Boys. Both Howie and Brian were ridiculously good lead singers. And
yeah.
In sync, you had Justin, of course. What? Oh, you're getting hung up again.
Oh no,
Oh, no.
AJ
AJ, that's how he didn't sing leads.
and Nick and Nick.
Wait, am I like thinking of the wrong lead singers?
Maybe it's been a minute.
Oh man, now I have to go back and do my fucking homework. Anyway,
You didn't know this was going to be discussed. To be fair,
no, I didn't. But I will say that Max Martin was writing all those hits for both of those groups,
right?
and I think that's
So really,
that's fucking notable. And Britney, he wrote Britney's career.
mm-hmm. Yeah, but also really into Coldplay and really into Radiohead. After that,
okay.
Yeah. So I got kind of
Cool.
stuck in those couple bands and just like ripped them to shreds in terms of listening. Yeah.
Okay. And who would you say are the people who are becoming part of your musical molecules now? Even if it's not reflected directly in your music, who are the people that you feel like are in your universe at all times?
I do think Carole King is one for sure.
Okay.
George Harrison is one.
Okay.
I've settled on him more even than Paul McCartney in terms of like his range of topics, and that he really had a strong message to impart, and I feel like that's really inspiring.
Cool.
He really stood behind whatever.
Yeah, I can see that.
Practices.
Yeah, he definitely was the most principled Beatle, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he was quite as nasty a human being as John Lennon was. So,
yeah, doesn't sound like it.
No. So I know you've been working on getting this new single out, but you also told me before that you've been working on another like tangentially music related project for the last little while. You've been working on kind of compiling oral histories, if you will. Can you tell us a little bit about this other thing that you're working on?
Sure. So last year before the pandemic, I was fortunate to receive this fellowship. This is a Cogeco Blueprint Fellowship program for like young Russian Jews to create original community projects, basically that would touch the lives of other Russian Jews and beyond. So my idea was to do an oral history, just interviewing Russian Jewish seniors about their experiences in, the Soviet Union. Sometimes, they'd gone through World War II and the Holocaust and immigration, which is like a whole other frontier. And then write music based on those stories. And actually, like Cameron, because that's kind of, that song was written just based on a conversation that I had. It wasn't like an oral history, but it was, that's a conversation. And then it was like, I used all of those elements from what this person told me to write a song. I was like, well, I can do that again. So I thought this would be a great subject matter. And really my key and like my aim is to capture the emotional content of these stories because they're so fascinating. And I'm not trying to give like a history lesson. I don't think you could really do that with a song, but trying to like build empathy and putting someone in the shoes, right, of someone who had gone through just a totally different experience, and making it quite contemporary for our listeners now. So, yeah.
Where, like, if this is like just kind of touches upon some of my interests and some of the life around, just a little bit, and some of the life around me. Where are these people that you're interviewing?
So a lot of them are just in New York, like in Brighton Beach, some in Philly. So I have a handful more to get through. I'm just like, accessing them through different Jewish organizations mostly, or just people like family friends that I
Mm-hmm.
know. I tried to talk to my grandmother a bit, and I have a bit of her story, but it's hard to get details. With some people it's hard to coax details because they either just don't want to talk about it or don't remember, or a bit of both.
Yeah. I live in a fairly Jewish neighborhood. I live in a fairly Orthodox neighborhood.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so I was kind of on the block that my family used to live on. We were one of the only 2 Goy families on the whole block. So we were absolutely. I was definitely Shabbos Goy on the block, and I had to do all sorts of little favors for people on Friday nights. I was always happy to do it, and it was the most directly that I had connected to like the Jewish diaspora writ large, because even though I'd obviously grew up with some Jewish people in my life, none of them kind of prescribed to the level of orthodoxy that these people around me lived. And it was very much their block and their community. And we were visitors they were incredibly welcoming and lovely to us. But like, I was always, we lived actually between, I'm not sure where the family was from. I think they'd been in New York a very long time. They were a rather young couple, but we had one Ashkenazi family on one side and a Sephardic family on the other side. And seeing the way that their culture and their religion kind of came together to create these 2 different like perspectives on some of the same doctrine was really incredible for us to witness. And also being around in a Jewish neighborhood on a Saturday was like one of the most lovely and beautiful things that I've ever been a part of. Now, to be fair, these people were not. God, the way I said these people sounded so fucking offensive.
Don't worry, I'm not.
Right?
We're not offended.
Yeah, no, it's just a weird way to say it. They were fairly Orthodox, but not Hasidim. So they were their kids and my kids were allowed to play together on the block. But it was an interesting conversation to even have with my young children about things they do and don't do and why they do and don't do them. And it was the first time that I had to think about, it's not the first time I had to think about people outside my own experience, but it was the closest I'd ever lived to such a large number of people that had a strong cultural identity like that. And so as a result, while I'm no scholar or anything, when I think about Judaism in New York, it's much more human to me than theoretical. So when I hear about somebody doing a project like yours, I'm excited to see what that looks like, especially when you're talking to your citizens in New York, because New York is such like it's a huge part of the Jewish diaspora in the world at this point. But even within that, it's so diverse.
And I think within Soviet Jews, right, who come from the Soviet Union, that's a totally different world in itself, because most of the people that I have spoken to are not religious, right? Some don't even believe in God. They have a very different interpretation just because of, where they came from. And I would say just miseducation or just ignorance entirely of what it is, so that is a totally different world than like American Jewry or even European Jewry, and that's kind of a story that's not often shared. And there's a lot of contradictions within the story too.
Yeah.
Beliefs and all sorts of things. But it's fascinating to me because it's part of my identity and, just a person of integrity in the world. I think I need to know, where I come from, and to be able to impart that to other people and share that. It's important.
Do you feel like it, it's impossible to separate identity and artistry sometimes, but do you feel like that part of your identity plays a direct role in your music making ever, or is it just a little piece of who you are?
I think it is quite direct, but I'm not always aware of it. Like, for instance, it's really been only in the last 2 years where I've touched base like come home to my own sort of identity as a Jewish person and what that means to me, and been, actively like pursuing that in my life. But before that, I didn't really identify with it at all. But yet I would say some of the characteristics of my music or my lyrics are very much in line with a lot of ideas of Jewish music and what that should be, in terms of like even playing with major and minor, which is not like an exclusively Jewish thing, but a lot of the times, that's how you transmute pain and suffering, is like through happy music, or just sort of, it's always intertwined. Like you never have one without the other. Even in like Jewish holidays, when it's a really happy, joyous holiday, you always sort of remember that, the history of it, and sometimes it's often gruesome. So just like always holding those two distinct ideas or flavors in my music, and kind of dealing with contradictions of life. And also, like, I always just want to make people feel something, and even really make people cry. Like, I think that's a beautiful thing when I can make myself cry with my own music, or then it's like, wow, your heart's really open. And I've learned that for Jewish musicians, even in like ancient times, it was very laudable when you can make your audience cry, or when you could play at a wedding and make the bride cry. Like, that was the point. So there's something about accessing that kind of like dimension, and then transferring that to other people through music, that, I don't know, I guess it is it is in the identity somehow.
Okay, cool. I love that. Thank you so much for going there on that answer. I didn't know that we were going to go with either, but I'm excited that we did. And I'm excited that this project, in addition to allowing you to connect more deeply with your own identity, is bearing some sort of musical fruit. I mean, you got your newest single kind of out of it, even though that's not what you might have been mining for. It's exciting that it manifested like that.
Yeah. So this single, Camera, it's nothing to do with this project. It was to the idea for the project, but I guess I could talk about Camera a little bit. Because this was like about a year ago when I wrote it, maybe a little bit more. I love how you get your tech all lined up.
Yeah,
good work.
Listen, I'm trying to make this as much like a TV show as possible. It's part of the fun for me. I can make stuff on the fly too. I've freaked out a couple of guests and gotten almost spit takes in the middle of songs because I wrote some funny shit on the screen while they were singing. But I promise I won't do that to you.
It's like a nice challenge.
Yeah. Will you play Cameron for us, or play Cameron and something else for us?
Yeah, why don't I'll play it, and then I'll play something else as well. Right.
Yeah, sure. Well, let me get out of your way again so you can have the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, Tatyana Kalko is going to make awesome things happen. Check it out.
Yeah, this is my new single. It was spurred by an actual conversation that I had with someone on the train, and he was on his way to rehab, and kind of told me all the difficult details of his life that he was facing at the moment. And afterwards, I was just very inspired for some reason. It just the song started bubbling up, and I guess we could talk about some of the themes of it and stuff. But here's Cameron. I'd like to help you. Do you think I can know more about you? Share with me your life story, 'cause you know you won't see me again. 1, 2. Well, there's this girl I love. She left me dry and made me cry. She's seeing other guys. I haven't slept in 3 days. I shut up last night for the first time in a long time. I was feeling low, no place to go. Down, I've been living in construction sites, metal poles and rusty pipes. I wanna lay my head on a pillow, say, do you know? But never mind, I'll be alright. Cameron, I'd like to help you. Do you think I can know more about you? Share with me your misery, 'cause you know you won't see me again. The chemicals in my blood cause a rush of dopamine, but it ain't me, no it ain't me. 'Cause all that happiness eludes me. In short and in conclusion, I'm a wreck, I'm a mess, I'm a junkie. Oh, look me up, send me a postcard. I'm in Southampton, Montauk, Cameron. I can't. Wheels keep spinning. I'm here watching you keel over. I've heard that's a sign. New York City, hard on pity, but I see the great potential. That's the bag on the A-track. Cameron, I'd like to thank you for this song I've written. Couldn't do without you. Wondering where you've been in the last few days, and if you're okay. So that was Cameron. Maybe we can jump back to me for a moment before I segue into another song.
Sure.
I have to change. Well, I'm gonna play a piano song, so I'm just
I'm excited.
Down. I know.
Sure. Multi-instrumentals. I love it. So you guys have been watching Tatyana Kalko show off her songwriting skills and her singing skills and her guitaring skills. The new single Cameron, which you just played, is available on all damn near platforms that you listen to music on in 2021. So please go check it out. She's going to play another one for us in just a second. She also has all sorts of fun merch available over at tatyanakalko.bandcamp.com/merch. Of course, you can also listen to and download Cameron while you're over there. Bandcamp.com is the place to support the musicians you love, especially in the independent world. It looks like Tatyana's got a little bit of a technical hang-up, but once she gets herself settled and into her piano setup, we'll hear another song from her. It's been really awesome having you guys here on the Tuesday Night Live stream. I'm Chris Q. Murphy. And, there we go. Awesome.
Wow. This is like living life on the edge right here.
You know, that's how it goes.
For sure. Okay, should I play another one and then
Let me get out of your way.
The chat. Cool.
Take it away.
So this is another one. It's actually the song I have recorded, and I'm sort of just waiting for probably to do a couple more songs before I release it. But I feel like it's quite appropriate for really for any moment, but it's sort of a philosophy that I live by. It's called Thank You for the Pain. And it's really just thanking for different, hardships that we experience, whether they're external or internal, and how they've taught us quite a few life lessons. I believe in love, a message sent from up above in the form of rain, or a suddenly recalled refrain. What are we to do when no light is shining through? I try to get rid of every part of me I thought was in the way, holding me down, the insecurities I couldn't shake. I tried to relieve the broken heart in me until it went away. And now the path is clear in front of me. I wanna thank you for the pain, for what it had to say. And now I know that everything will be okay. Yeah. Without it, would I have changed? I believe in soul, miracles within our control. You gotta give it time to break from the past and heal the troubled mind. What are we to do when our lies become the truth? I try to get rid of every part of me I thought was in the way, holding me down, the insecurities I couldn't shake. I tried to relieve the broken heart in me until it went away. And now the path is clear in front of me. I wanna thank you for the pain when I couldn't look away. I learned to speak right through the shame. Oh, without it, would I have changed? I try to get rid of every part of me, holding me down, the insecurities holding me. I try to relieve the broken heart in me. Now the path is clear in front of me. I wanna thank you for the pain. Thank you for the pain. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for the Thank you for the pain.
Woo! Who was that?
What do you mean?
Yo, you were somewhere else?
Probably.
You were someone else when you did that.
That's cool. Yeah.
That was unbelievable. Oh my God. I don't know if it's the piano or that song.
I think it's the piano. I think that's like my native instrument. I just don't know how to play it that well yet, but
bullshit.
I play it enough.
Oh my God, that was fucking fantastic.
I'm really excited for for that song and a couple other songs to come out.
Me too.
Yeah, they feel, thanks. They feel like really representative of where I am currently. So I'm happy with that.
That was so good. Oh my God, the song is great, and the singing is just gorgeous. Like you were somewhere else with the singing on that song. I mean, you have a dynamite voice. You always sound so good, but I haven't heard you sing like that before.
Yeah, some soul. There's some soul in there.
Yeah, call it what you want. It was beautiful. I really thank you so much for doing that. Oh my God! Are the other songs you're in the process of recording and getting out? Are they piano songs?
There's one or two piano songs. Yeah, there are. I have to like pick and choose. There's a lot, but definitely in the coming year. Thank you, Frank and Joseph. Yeah. There's gonna be some piano for sure. I'm really excited about it.
Have you gone back and tried to? Are you just picking up piano now? I never
played piano like as a kid. Really, I mean, we had a piano. My parents wanted me to take lessons, and I just never had the patience to learn classical music. So but I could just tinker. And what happened was about 2 years ago, I moved into this place now, where I'm subletting in Washington Heights, and my roommate, who's lived here for like 30 years, her husband was a piano player, like a famous piano player in Ukraine and stuff, and they have a piano here. So I started just playing, and songs just came out. So that's amazing. I think when life leads you in, the right direction where you need to be.
I gotta say, since you moved to the piano, your internet is also way more consistent. So there's something going on here. The internet wants you. Yeah, it really is. Have you gone back and revisited any of your guitar songs on piano and to see what that might bring out of them or bring out of you?
That's a great idea. No, I haven't really. I know like Jack White does that a lot, right? He kind of goes back and forth. I've heard. That's a great idea. Yeah.
When I feel like a song, like that it's working, but it's not clicking, I'll just sit down and play it on a different instrument, or not play it on an instrument and just sing it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times that tells me a lot about what is or isn't working. Because if it can translate from one instrument to the other and it still sounds good, it's clearly something to be kept. But if I find that I was leaning on a certain guitar idea or drum idea or, banjo idea, when I can put it on another instrument, it definitely changes my own perspective. And I feel like I sing cover songs better than I sing my own songs. So sometimes when I move a song to a new instrument, I also feel like I'm covering myself. So
what is it? Is it like the pressure of your own songs?
I don't know. I think that there's this is kind of like an ongoing thing that I've been trying to unravel over the last bunch of months with guests. So welcome to our therapy session.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, but it's something that like I think that when I get up on mic and I sing like a fucking Otis Redding song or a Kiss song, people are like, "Yo, that guy can sing." And then when I'm singing my own songs, they're like, "He's a good songwriter and he sings his songs pretty well." But
maybe you need someone writing songs for you that'll show off your range.
Or I just have to learn how to write for myself better. I don't know. I'll figure it out someday.
Yeah.
Got to chase something. Speaking of chasing, I'm getting to the point where I'm going to start chasing sleep pretty soon, because my children are going to wake up at 6:30 tomorrow morning. Actually, they're going to wake up before that, but they know better than to come out of their room before 6:30 in the morning.
Don't touch daddy.
No, don't. Yeah, you stay in there and you read and you play at a reasonable volume. But I know that at some point pretty soon I'm going to turn into a pumpkin. COVID has not been good to my musician hours. I will say that. But it's been so lovely seeing you. I'm glad I was able to bring some open mic vibe, which is kind of how we know each other.
Yeah, no, it's been a real pleasure. I feel like you just make people feel really welcome and badass.
Well, you are a badass. I'm only inviting badasses on the show.
That's right.
No slouches. I reach out to all the badasses, and that's all there is to it. If you are here because you know Tatyana and this is your first time seeing me, you can go ahead and give me a follow. And of course, if you are here because you know me and my show, but you don't know Tatyana Kalko just yet, make sure that you give her a follow. You can find her over at Instagram at Tatyana Kalko. You can hear all sorts of her music over at the SoundCloud /Kalko Music. And you can download all sorts of stuff and buy merch at tatyanakalko.bandcamp.com. And of course, her new single, Cameron, which she played a little while ago, is available all the places that you stream music these days. And we are so very, very lucky to have had her here with us tonight. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Tatyana. It was so good to see you. And I hope the next time we do this, it'll be IRL, face to face.
For real. I hope I've lessened some of the intimidation.
I feel a little better after this, so thank you.
Okay, good. I feel great. I feel uplifted.
Good.
For my evening.
I love that.
So thank you. And thanks, Frank and Chris and Adam and Joseph and everyone who was tuned in.
You guys
Thanks,
are fantastic.
Chris.
We'll see you next Tuesday. Have a great night, everybody.